Hello everyone and welcome to another Two Stupid Gamers video. My name is Mash. You may remember a couple of months back we uploaded a video onto this channel about my new favorite thing. Basically, I acquired a racing helmet, and through the talent of my friend Paul Good, it has been transformed into this one-of-a-kind tribute to a very near and dear arcade game, Daytona USA, which then progressed to the next level, at which point I had a full-blown racing suit with custom detailing to match the helm. Well, fast forward to today and we have an update video for you. I may have originally mentioned this, but I was trying to do a little bit more with this suit. My long-term goals were to expand a little bit more on this racing suit costume project, which first involved getting gloves, getting shoes, and even getting a head sock to match underneath the helmet. That was all easy. It was just a matter of buying things, and then now I had them so I would wear them whenever I had the suit. But I wanted to go one step further. The suit looks really good and pairs incredibly well with my helmet, but it really only has two things printed on it. For the most part, this is a pretty bare racing suit. What I was thinking about was giving this suit an extra level of realism. This would be okay if you didn't have any sponsors, but as we know, the Hornet from Daytona USA has tons of sponsors. My goal was to start expanding on the custom part of this race suit, and what I was going to do was I was going to get some of the sponsor logos from the game and put them onto the race suit using custom patchwork. That was the idea, and it was going to be a bit of an undertaking. Now, that was kind of a long-term project. I was maybe going to do that in maybe like a year or so, but I took the suit out to Colossal Con. I had a great time. I got a really good feel for what it's like just being in this thing and being around a convention, and I wanted to, just kind of expedite the whole process of updating this suit way ahead of New York Comic Con. Now, New York Comic Con will be over by the time that this video is up, but you'll still get a chance to see what it took to actually bring this suit to the next level with this project that I'm going to be doing. First up, the planning stage. We wanted to have a lot of references to what you see on the car from the game, so it feels more authentic. With the exception of the Sonic logo and a custom design that was thrown in there thanks to my buddy Paul, the patches we were selected were pulled straight from the number 43 Hornet. Of course, placement was a big deal. I had to narrow down the best A, look, and B, sizes for each individual patch. In total, there came out to be about 15 custom patches. This process took hours, like it took forever. When you're getting custom patchwork done online, it's not as easy as here's what I want and you push a button and you're on your way. Every detail of the image you send in matters, from the size to the quality of the image file itself. Then you basically have to take a wild guess, hoping that everything comes out good quality, the perfect size, and it all fits well together just like you had planned. So I ordered the patches and they came out really well. Very high quality work, with the exception of very tiny details. Because it's never going to be one-to-one, some parts of the image are just lost. But overall, it gets the job done. The one notable exception for me that I noticed while I was getting ready for this video is that some of the patches feel slightly different in size. Particularly the Model 2 patch. I don't know what went wrong, but I don't remember it being this small or with almost no space around the lettering when I sent it in. Still, the goal of this was to kind of emulate that racing suit sponsor collage feeling that a real-life racing suit would have. So the variety in size, as long as it's not detrimental to my plan, the way I had laid everything out, actually ends up being a good thing. Variety is the spice of life. If you've actually seen a racing suit, like a real racing suit, you'll see that patches are spread out. They have different places. Usually it's around the torso, sometimes the arms and the shoulders, but they'll be of varying shapes and sizes. Some of them will even have special shapes, so there isn't really like just a box or a circle or a rectangle or a triangle, but it's actually specifically cut out to the lettering, to the fine details of the logo that it's supposed to represent on the patch. Finally, we arrive at the most difficult part of this entire process, and that is the part of actually getting the patches onto the racing suit. Now, there are a couple of different options that I could have went with. There was actually something that I found out while I was shopping for supplies for this video, is that I could have used adhesive strips. It's actually something I've never encountered before. It looks like it's a very easy way to get a patch onto a racing suit, but because I don't have any experience with it, I decided not to do it that way. I was also worried about the glue and how the suit would react to the glue. Maybe it could deteriorate the quality of the fabric. Maybe the quality of the glue wouldn't be very good and the patches wouldn't hold for a very long time. It wouldn't be very strong glue, so they would start falling off and after peeling, several uses later. So I decided to go with a method that I do have a little bit more experience with, and that is sewing. Little known fact about me, I actually do have a little bit of experience with needles, threading, sewing, mostly patches. I didn't really go too much further beyond that, but I have done a bit of patchwork in the past, so it kind of felt just right to, give my own spin on this, use my tool set, so to speak, to make this update happen. I've actually done some patchwork on this hat recently, and less recently, some of the patchwork on this vest. So a couple of the patches I put up there, and to date, this will be the biggest patchwork project that I do. I've never done quite this many patches. I've never done quite this many patches all at once, and I've never done this many patches where the evenness, the neatness of the job is so much more important. With the hat, with the vest, a little bit less important if a patch is just slightly off center, but if I start working on this suit and one of the patches comes out to be a little bit at an angle, it's just not going to look right. I'm going to have to start all over. It's going to be a very frustrating, tedious process. So I'm definitely facing an uphill battle here, but I'm very excited to get into this and try to get this update going. I didn't neglect to stop by a local craft store and pick up a couple of things that would no doubt be helpful for this video. Some of these would be considered cosplay or essentials. We got, of course, needles and sewing kits. I also got a glue gun. Like I said, though, not really going to be focusing on glue. I think glue is kind of messy. I don't have too much experience with it. I'm going to end up not using this for this project, but still good to have a glue gun. You never know what could come in handy. This suit is going to see a lot of conventions, so I want to make sure that it's ready for the thick of it. I want this to be done very well, and we're going to just go ahead and show a bit of B-roll. I'll time-lapse or hyperlapse through the whole process because, believe it or not, it's going to take tons of time. I don't have a sewing machine. I'm going to do all of this by hand, and even just one patch by itself can take me anywhere from like 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes by itself. So multiply that by 15. I'm going to be here for a while. Even though this is going to be a huge undertaking, it's still worth it to me. I feel like this makes it more of a passion project. I feel like it'll make it more satisfying in the end to do it this way. This is the way that I want to do it. I feel like I've been kind of bit by the creative bug, and yeah, I guess that's about it. Let's just get right to it and get this project underway. So like I was saying, we'll speed through the patchwork process just because it ends up taking so long. It takes so long because this isn't a skill I use often. I'm very novice, and also trying my hardest not to mess up since I only had one go at this. There was only one try. My technique is a combination of YouTube tutorial level beginner knots and stubbornly trying to tie separate parts of the thread together on the reverse side. It really doesn't show good technique, but in my experience, my stitches usually hold up securely. One of the most tedious parts of the process involved trying to make the beginner and the end knots. I don't have enough experience to do it clean and tidy and securely. Instead, my knotting process involves doing about a dozen shoelace knots, followed by several more dozen loop knots. Truth is, there are about 1,000 different ways to make a proper starter or end knot, but I never got good at doing these, so I just did it my way. Again, this isn't the work of a professional. I only do this as like a hobby for fun. Furthermore, the work actually had to be done over several sessions on different days because I simply didn't have the time to spare to do approximately 15 or 20 hours in one go, or even two. The video editor showed that it was about 7 hours altogether, but I believe it was a little bit longer than that. Just the first few patches that I started took about 2 to 3 hours to get it all together. In the end, I could say that I was able to crack 1 or 2 patches out pretty quickly, maybe as fast as like 35-40 minutes, but when you do it by hand and you're at my level, it just takes a lot of time. Multiply 15 patches by one slow sewer and you have 4 or 5 nights of toiling away into the late hours of the night trying to get this done. Another one of the problems that I ran into is that unlike a hat or a vest that's a little more open, the race suit has one big zipper and a neck hole, and the rest of it is sealed off in a mostly solid piece. What's worse is a lot of the patches had to be deep into the suit, far away from the zipper, so access was a big problem. I always struggled when I had to do patchwork on my vest far away from a sleeve or some other type of hole, so this came up again. Having poor access to the patch area makes it take a little longer, and it's also a bit more difficult to stay neat, at least in my experience. Something like a sewing machine would be good for these hard to reach places. And I made a lot of mistakes, in addition to getting pricked a dozen or so times, but after the first few patches, I started to show signs of improvement. The hardest patch ended up being the very first one I did on this project, as it involved a lot of de-rusting and going through the old trial and error that I had to learn many years ago all over again. The square and circle shape patches were the easiest to do. Once you get into the territory of the special shape cut patches like the Team Sonic logo or the Gallop Racing one, it became immediately more tedious to get sewed on. Having to be mindful of each curve ramps up the difficulty as opposed to just having to go in a straight line 4 different times. I ended with the other hardest patch to do, and that was the giant Hornet logo on the back, and the big Sega logo as well. The Hornet logo was the biggest patch of the bunch. It took me 2 separate lines of thread to get it on there, and I ran into a lot of trouble along the way. For this one too, but in general, working with the reverse side of this suit was really tough. The suit is double layered, so sometimes the layers slide while you're inserting the needle where it needs to be, not coming out on the other side in the correct place. Also, for all the patches that needed white threading, it was almost impossible to see the already done parts of the stitching as I went along from the reverse side. This made it really hard to keep track of progress and do the cool trick where you put the needle under the most recent stitch to tie off a completed patch in a very neat and secure way. And then the big Sega logo had this problem where, for some reason, the custom patch came out with very little white area between the blue in the letters and the white border. I didn't have this problem with the smaller Sega logo, so I don't know why it was a problem on the bigger one. Because of this, I had to change my approach. A white thread would start to cover the Sega logo, and especially if I got sloppy with my stitching, make the Sega logo look like it had really jagged edges. So I went with a blue thread over the letters, which matched nicely enough, however still can be visible if you're up close. That was a little bit of a bummer, but we deal with that. The suit also had these ridges, I guess you would call them, where the front elegantly folds and gives the shoulders this nice layered look. Sadly, I had sewn over that, so some mobility in the shoulders will be lost as a result, but I don't really think it will make a huge difference. This is the same thing that happens if you ever need to do patchwork over a pocket. You either have to be good enough to do it but still keep the usability out of your pocket, or you just have to give up the pocket because it will be blocked and unusable. In this case, there definitely was a way I could have done this and been more graceful about it, where I wouldn't need to attach the 2 layered parts of the shoulder together, but unfortunately, I only noticed this after it was already done. Might be worth coming back to one day to correct, but we'll see. And coming back to the reverse side of the suit, I also struggled a lot with the sewing process when you have the needle on the back side of the suit. I can't immediately see what's back there, and I'm trying to carefully sew and not jostle the patch out of place, and oftentimes I ended up accidentally making the patch a little bit crooked, more so than I anticipated. Sometimes bobby pins helped with this, sometimes even they couldn't save me from ending up sewing the patches at a slight angle. I did get better at anticipating this problem over time, but I never really got the hang of this. Throughout the process, there were random ebbs and flows of feeling comfortable sewing from the reverse side and then just falling back to struggling with it. And after all this is said and done, after all the painful tingling in my fingertips and sleepless nights, one thing can be said for sure: this was the greatest amount of sewing I've ever had to do. Exhausting as it was, this was certainly an experience that helped me with improving this skill. Maybe I'll get to do some more of it sometime, who knows, but it was definitely an interesting experience. Alright, we are finished. The suit has been modified with some mesh handiwork, and I gotta say, it looks really sick. And that's gonna do it for this update video. There are still a couple more things that we could do with this suit to modify it to make it even cooler, but honestly at this point I am content. With the exception of 2 patches, I would like to get 2 additional patches. Unfortunately, with the rush of trying to get this done before Comic-Con, I wasn't able to acquire 2 patches that match the number 41 that's already on the helmet. I think it would really complete the look. Be nice. The suit is also numbered just like the helmet. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to do to kind of match the helmet with the suit, so it would go with that as well. But overall, that would only be a really small change. Wouldn't require an update video necessarily, so we're going to consider this suit done. So pending any kind of crazy idea, this suit is done and this video is done. Guys, not exactly typical Two Stupid Gamers content, but I hope you enjoyed it. We hope you found it interesting. If you liked it, let us know. Maybe you learned something, but let us know in the comments below, what'd you think of the video? Do you like this whole project idea? Do you like the arrangement of patches that I went with? Is there anything that I could have done differently, or is there any other way you think that this suit could pop a little bit more if I just put a little bit more work into it? Let us know in the comments below. I'm dying to hear. Potentially we might get some footage of me walking around at conventions. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but for now that's gonna be it. So once again, thank you so much for watching. This is Mash signing out. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Two Stupid Gamers video.